what's good guys, your boy Hugo the Savage back again for another review, man. Ahsoka episode 6 entitled Far, Far Away. Let's get this one straight off. Yeah, man, listen. We know episode 5 was, the creme de la creme of Ahsoka so far. Mainly because it had Anakin in it, man, and the Anakin throwback, the nostalgia got me still, can't lie. This episode's a little bit different. I say a lot different, but I actually really, really enjoyed it. A lot more context based in this episode, a lot more dialogue in this particular episode. There's not as much action, but there is a little bit of action in there. Let's start from the start of this episode, and don't want to keep this too long. So they've taken the space whales, the star whales, the big whales, the hyperspace whales. They're taking it. Well, Ahsoka's taken that anyway, to try and go rescue Sabine and Ezra and stop General Thrawn and Thrawn. I keep saying Thrawn. I should know that anyway. So they've taken it. They've gone to Peridia. Also, of course, they've already arrived at Peridia. Sabine, Baylan Skoll, Shin, and Elsbeth Morgan. So they're already over there. I want to say straight off the bat that I made an observation previous to maybe like episode 3. Said there's not enough Ahsoka in it. That I'm gonna get the negative out of this episode straight away. The negative is Ahsoka's in this episode for approximately altogether about a minute. I'm not joking. Like there's a conversation, and then it goes back to the conversation, and then we don't see her again for the whole episode, which is kind of disappointing considering she's the lead character in the whole show. But was she missed from the episode? Yes, because she was the main character, but she wasn't missed in terms of what was going on. There was enough to suffice and get through the minutes, and that nothing felt wasted in this episode. So we got the introduction of Ezra and Thrawn in this, two separate sides, the dark side, the light side. And I thought that was really cool, the duality they used in this, considering it's the context surrounding Star Wars about using the Force and the dark side and the light side. So I thought that was pretty cool. Had a bit of everything in it. Again, there's still the overriding thing that if you haven't watched Rebels, a lot of it's just going to go over your head. So I think that's a bit disappointing. But I've watched it, so it is what it is. So it wasn't disappointing to me, and I thought it was fun. There's loads of different things in this, man. Sabine was obviously, she's taken there with the promise of a deal that, I'll get you here, and then you get me Ezra, I'll get to go and see Ezra. And there was a overriding thing throughout the episode. Is like, are they going to stick to the deal or not? They started it while she was in a jail cell, and she kind of figured that, oh my God, Baylan is not sticking to what he said. But then Elsbeth has a conversation with him, and she says, you need to honor the promise you gave her, which is all weird. And then when they met Thrawn, he was like, no, listen, I'm gonna honor you the promise what we gave you anyway. But all I'm letting you know is when my ship's ready to leave this place, if you're not here, then you're gonna be left stranded. I feel like though they pretty much we find out after that they sent her out so she can go find Ezra. They gave her weapons, they gave her a howler to ride. But it's pretty much so, go and find him and then send Baylan Skoll and Shin out to go and kill them, pretty much. And if they die in the process as well, fine, because he doesn't care, because it's about getting his troops off this planet, which means there's something overriding and something bigger in play in this episode, which they don't actually let us know what it is. But Baylan Skoll refers to it because his plans are not really with Thrawn either. He thinks it's a passing thing, and he wants to restart the whole cycle of the Jedi, the rise of the Jedi. The rise of the Empire and the fall of the Jedi, and the vicious cycle. He wants to end that and start again. So I think he wants the power in that shit. Shin, really good in this episode because she really plays that the prodigy, the apprentice that doesn't know much, and she keeps asking him questions, and you can see her trying to figure stuff out for herself and take advice of him. And it's feeling like she's starting to feel like some of the things he's doing is unfair. The promises he's not keeping, the stuff he's saying about the Jedi. So my prediction is that by the time we get to the end of this, Shin will be the reason why Baylan Skoll dies. I reckon so. Or the reason why Thrawn doesn't get what he wants. Because I don't know, man. There's something about her. She's got the innocence of like a child at the moment who's just taking in information and doing what she's told. So when she's acting angry, she just seems like they're making her act angry. We got Sabine going out to find Ezra. She stumbled up across some what are they called? I think they're called natties, which are these little I don't know what they are. They're these sentient beings of like, they're almost like half turtle, half something. They're small people, but they're not people. They're like small aliens, and they were cute. That was kind of cold. And then one of them has a rebel chain on, and then they lead him to Ezra, who we get live action Ezra, which looked pretty cool. He seemed very happy. He didn't seem all depressed about being out there. He was happy. He'd built a camp for those little people, little aliens, and it was living fine. He just can't wait to get home. Thrawn on the other side, well done. I think it's Lars Mikkelsen who's fun, and I think he played him in Rebels as well, as the voice anyway. Perfect. And although he's Danish, but his English accent was top tier. He was great. The only thing I didn't like he looked a bit skinny fat, and I didn't like his uniform. But apart from that, it was cold. He's got like a cult following of night troopers as well. I like the way they were chanting his name. He's very measured, and he's got a bit of the Thanos about him, where it's like, no, it's like everything's inevitable, and we need to stick to the script. It doesn't seem to have a malicious intent, apart from he just wants to get out of this universe away, which means, again, something we don't know, because they refer to Peridia as the graveyard for the space whales, and that's the reason why the space whales are traveling back there, so they can die. So it's very interesting. Towards the end of it, he finds out that that there's someone incoming, and I think there's some witches, and they're like, I think it's a Jedi, and he said, oh, I think it's Ahsoka, and they're like, oh, it's impossible because she's dead. Well, she's not. And then he asks the witches for the dark magic, in which they say, yeah, it's fine, we can use the dark magic. I'm interested to see what the dark magic is. I'm interested to find out what's at play bigger than this. Will Sabine finally get to use the Force? They've been teasing it all the way through. They misguide it every time. So every time it looks like she's using the Force, something bigger comes in play. And you're like, oh, it's not her, it's wind. So, you know what I mean? It's not her, it's the air. It's not her, it's oxygen. It's not her, it's gravity. So I really enjoyed this episode. Again, not too much negatives at all, apart from the fact that, and I'm not making it up when I said that she's in the episode for about a minute. I mean it. Like, if I want to be kind, I'll say she's in it for 2 minutes of a 58-minute episode, I think. Yeah, get her back in it, man. You can't be having episodes like this. But apart from that, really enjoyed it. Look to see what's going to happen going forward. Will Baylan, Scott, and Shin, because they're on the path now to follow Sabine, and obviously, hopefully, find her when see when she's with Ezra, and then get rid of him. I think it's going to go the opposite way. I really reckon it's going to end up with Skull dying, Shin going back with Ezra and Sabine, and then we'll see what happens. But anyway, I've been your boy, so comment, like, subscribe, share, not anything in the comment section. I've spoke enough!